It seems principal have some network error, sir. He will join
Oh.
within 2 minutes. Sir.
No, no problem, no
He
problem.
called me and so.
Oh, okay.
5 நிமிஷம் ஆயிடும். அடுத்த 5 ஆயிடுச்சு சார். அது அப்படியா சார்? நான் சொல்லிட்டேன், ஏற்கனவே சொல்லிட்டேன் சார், இன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணிட்டேன். ஓகே சார். அப்படியா சார்? அது நீங்கள் டைரெக்டாக அந்த லிங்க் உங்களுக்கு வாட்ஸ்அப்பில் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கீங்களா சார்? சரி சார், சரி சார், சரி சார். சரி சார். ஓகே சார். ஓகே சார். Sir, still he is having network error, sir. Can you wait for another 2 or 3 minutes, sir?
No problem, sir. Carry on.
Because I don't know what happened in his home, so he called me again now.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Okay, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Carry on. So before we are starting the session, so just to have a chit chat, okay? So let them connect with their internet. So actually we cannot rely on the computer, right? So human brain is far better than any system. Yeah. So just have chit chat with the people. And you can unmute the mic. If they want to talk, they can talk, no problem. So when we are starting the session, we can close the app.
Okay, sir. Definitely.
Yeah.
No. Actually, participants, they can unmute themselves, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So just today morning, I went to a community service home, and just I came back 15 minutes before. So this time is actually a very good time for me to relax myself. I traveled almost 30 kilometers in the morning, and I traveled back to home from 30 kilometers. So I went to a community service today. It is an old folk home. The geriatric people are there living there. Not only geriatric people, and we have a lot of disabled people. So I went there in the morning. So we assisted them in scrutinizing the prescription, and we did some the mechanic work, so we assembled some wheelchair and all the things today morning. So I did my contribution today with the people. So most of the time we used to go Saturday, Sunday, but this time we went Friday. I hope the climate is very good in the Kalasalingam area, Sriviluputtur area.
Welcome address I
visited Kalasalingam University almost 20 years back. Now we can see a huge development in the university.
Sir?
Yeah.
Principal having network problem, it seems. So I connect through phone, sir. He will give the
Okay.
welcome address. We can start the proceedings. In meantime, he will join us.
Yeah, no problem.
சார் நீங்கள் பேசலாம் சார்.
No problem, sir. Thank you.
சார் கேட்குது சார் உங்களுக்கு கேட்குது.
Okay.
We are very proud to have an eminent personality, well-known academician, and honorable resource person, Department of Pharmacy, International Medical University, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, for his kind and concern to share his knowledge, experience, and expertise to deliver the lecture on impact of body pharmacy young population in the 19th International Virtual Learning Series. It is a great pleasure for all of us that we could find time to be with us to make up this busy schedule. Next, I take this opportunity to convey my sincere thanks to you and your NCP University for accepting our request despite of your busy schedule and for being a valuable part of this series. That most welcome is that my dear students, kindly utilize this great opportunity to explore your knowledge. This is the first and foremost meeting for your career. All the very best for all the students. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you. Sir.
Yes sir, yes sir.
Okay,
sir. Okay sir, thank you sir, thank you. Sir, you can proceed sir. Thank you sir.
Okay. Sir, can I proceed?
Yes sir, please sir, you can proceed sir.
Okay. So, dear audience, you can mute your mic, okay? And I will share the slides with you now. And if you can't see the slides, you can open your mic anytime and you can tell me, inform me, you're not able to see the slides, okay? So anytime, if you're not able to see, you can inform me. Okay, can you see the slides?
Okay sir, thank you sir.
Can you see the slides?
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will make it presentation mode. Okay, can you see?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You can see, right?
Yes sir, yes sir. Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dear audience, please unmute your mic. Okay, so good morning to everyone. I am Dr. Palasan Sunandi from the Department of Pharmacy Practice, School of Pharmacy, International Medical University, Malaysia. Okay. So what is the need to talk about this topic today? Okay. So before getting the topic, I will ask you a few questions. And you can answer yourself. Okay. Is there any old age people at your home?
Yes, sir.
Maybe more than 60 years?
They have any old conditions?
The old age people maybe is relative or neighbor, or it may be. Is it
Do they receive
any
any medication for their medical conditions?
old age people?
Yes, sir.
Can you check their
For whom?
medications before?
No, sir.
So, do you know how
Yes.
much medication they are receiving?
Sir.
daily?
Yes, sir.
Actually, most of the time, we know that in our family, we have a geriatric people, that is a people who are
So-
above 60 years old.
So,
Okay. And we know that they are receiving
Is-
some medications.
do
They have some medications.
they have
They receive some medications.
disease?
But even though we study
Yes, sir.
pharmacy or healthcare courses, or
Do-
even though we are educated, we are not checking their medications, how much medication
They
are
receive any medication for medication. They are receiving.
Yes, sir.
Most of the time, we know that they have, but normally you say if doctor is committing some mistake, if a pharmacist is committing a mistake, if a nursing staff is committing some mistake.
Please unmute your mic, audience.
Please unmute your mic, audience.
Please unmute your mic.
Please unmute your mic.
Sir, you can unmute yourself, sir. Sir, Chami, sir. Chami, sir, kindly unmute your mic, sir. Chami, sir.
Sir,
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I muted all, so please unmute yourself, sir.
okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So can you see? Can you hear my words?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will go to the presentation now. So, okay. So, wait a minute. Okay. So we know that in our family we have a geriatric population, the people with the age of above 60 years old. We know that they are receiving some medication, there are some medical conditions for that they are receiving medications. But even though we are educated, we are not checking whether they are receiving the medication appropriately or not, whether they are taking the medications or not, how they take them or not. Right. So there are a lot of unanswered questions
That's why
among us in geriatric population. So what do you mean by polypharmacy? When we are taking 2 or more medication, that is considered as polypharmacy. If you are taking 2 or more medications, right? So it is more than one medication, right? So it is considered the age of as geriatric population. Okay. So we will see what will happen when you are taking more amount of medications. So a study on polypharmacy, adverse drug reactions and geriatric syndrome says when we are taking 4 or more medications, it may increase the risk of falling, increase the risk of recurrent falls. So none of the medicine is safe. When we see more number of medications, the medicine may interact with each other. It may produce lot of complications. But what will happen in case of geriatric population, if the cognitive impairment is there, if they have any impairment in the cognitive function, or if they have any problem in the central nervous system or autonomic nervous system, what will happen? It may impair their stability. So this may leads to falls. Okay, so here the fall is a very big problem in geriatric population. Okay, so another study on polypharmacy and gait performance says when we receive more number of medications, the medication may gait performance, and it is longitudinally associated with the gait decline and as well as the fall incidence. Another systematic review on polypharmacy indicates that when we receive more number of medication, the chance of getting death is more. The risk of getting death is more. Okay, and it is discrete and category. Okay, so how can we optimize? How can we reduce the polypharmacy? So we have to go for medicine optimization. So how we can go for medicine optimization? We have to go for periodical review. So a study says that when we use 2 or more medications for multiple complications, we can get better benefit. We cannot treat all the medical conditions with a single drug, except a poison. Correct. So we need more number of medications to treat multiple complications. But at the same time, we don't know all the medications given to the patient is appropriate or not.
We are simply aiming to treat the conditions, but we are not thinking about
Because we are not checking. We are simply aiming to treat for patient or not. Okay. Polypharmacy, the elderly says that when we take one drugs, the chance for getting death is 51.4%. The study says if you are receiving 1 to 5 drugs, the chance
51%. But at the same time,
of getting death is
one more drug extra.
one drug extra. If you add one more drug extra, when you receive more than 6 drugs, what will happen? The chance for getting death is 72.8%. So, adding one drug extra, it increases more than 25% of the death rate. Right. So, another study on association between the polypharmacy and false older adults says when we receive 4 drugs, the chance for getting the rate of falls per 1,000 person year is 166.8. At the same time, if you are increasing one by one, what will happen? It may increase the rate of falls. So when you receive 10 drugs or more than 10 drugs,
Chance for getting falls is about 250%.
right, the chance for
A study
getting falls is almost 220%. Right. So the drug. A study on falls says when we receive antihypertensive drug, it produces lot of complications. Covering the high blood pressure, low blood pressure, and it can cause the risk of falls. Okay. The study says that 8 and 15 participants who received the antihypertensive drug had severe falls. A lot of medications are there. I took this drug as one example. Okay, so we will talk what are the drugs may cause falls. Okay, so the Washington Post says the American old age people receiving too many prescriptions. Not in a single prescription, not in a single drug, they are receiving too many drugs in a prescription. This may risk their health.
So coming to the WHO global,
Okay, coming to the WHO global report. So this report says that the fatal falls rates are increases according to the age and sex. If you are getting older and older and you are receiving more medications means there is a risk of falls. And the risk of falls is more common above the age of 65 because up to 65 we may have some stamina. Okay, we may have some good health. When our cells undergoes the denaturation process, what will happen? Natural denaturation process. At that time, we may lose our health, we may lose our body balance and everything, and it may cause falls. So study says that the people above the age of 8
more number of falls. Among this, men are getting more number of falls compared to women. The same WHO report says that now we
5 years old getting more number of falls. Among this, men are getting more number of falls.
the equal proportion. But
By the year 2025, we can see more number of people when compared to the normal people. Okay, so the geriatric population, old age population will be increased globally by the year 2025. So if you are concentrating on this aspect, we can be masters and we can do lot of things in geriatric population. Okay, so coming to the global report, according to the global report, now we have almost around 10% of the 10% of world population are old age people. But by the year 2025, the rate will be 10.4. By the year 2050, we will be having 15.9% of people old, right, 65 years old, and by 2100 we will be having 22.6% of the global population will be geriatric population. Okay, so coming to India, the trends in India, now we have almost around 8% of geriatric population in India. By the year 2050 we will be having 13.8%, but at the same time it will be having 26.7%. What it says, 1 among the 4 people will be geriatric population. When you are turning your head right, left and geriatric, and by the year 2027 we will get off China's top among the global total population, but by the 2027 we will beat China. Coming to the dividend, you can see here the red color indicates that working age, the red color arrow mark indicates, the graph indicates that working age. Now we have 57.1%, around 50 to 60%. percentage we have working age. But by the year 2015 and after that by the year 2100, we'll be having only 50. Indicate the percentage of people will work and the remaining 50% will be geriatric population. Okay, you can see the black color graph here, the bottom. Now we get almost 10%, around 10% of people, percentage of people about age of 6 are old age orphanage home by the year 2100. Right? So there is a scope for we are concentrating on the geriatric population. We can master in developing drugs. We can develop in the care for all the people, geriatric people. So coming to the aging India, there are about more than 68 million. In 2006, we had 83.6 million old age people. But this rate was projected to 118 million by the year 2016. But what among this old age people, we have around 40 people. Among this age people, 1 million in the daily. So we are getting very older very soon. And this Indian map shows the blue color and dark blue color in people, the states with more number of old age people, like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Punjab. All these states are having more number of old age people. There are one advantage: these states are having very good healthcare sector. So the mortality rate is very less because healthcare aspects. But at the same time, the life expectancy, the life years. So we are going to become very soon. We are going to become the old age states. Okay, the states with more number of old age people. Okay, so coming to the Western Australian Falls report by the year 2017, this report says that every 20 minutes they are getting one patient in the accident and emergency department due to falls risk. And as per the year 2016, they received 336 falls related fatalities. False related cases. Within 1 year, the number rose from 336 to 26,000. So what it says, in the year 2016, the reporting rate is very less. The false reporting state is very less. But by the 2017, the government started initiating the awareness about the false reporting. They received 26,000. Another study says that there are more reports in this. Another study says that to receive the false victim when compared to traffic injuries or any other stroke combined. Okay, so more number of the ambulances were dispatched or went to fetch the false cases. Okay, over half of the injuries are experienced in Western Australian people about age of 65 years. Be clear, by the year 2025, we will be a normal adult. But by the year 2050, all of us, those who are watching this webinar, will be a old age people. We will be more than 60 years old by 2050. Correct? Okay, so be clear. So in England, every year we are receiving and we have to safeguard ourselves. In the accident and emergency department, they are receiving 4 lakh people every year. Accident of falls in US says that one else over the age of 65 years falls in each and every year. If you have any 3 people, suppose your neighbor, there are 3 neighbors are old age people, maybe your family, maybe your neighbor or someone. Just to see 3 people around your home, among these 3, one will fall in a 1 year period. Maybe the next year, by this time, the one may get a risk of falls. Okay, so there is a greater risk for falls related injuries. So this picture says that the men are getting more number of falls than compared to women.
the men's are getting more number of
the men's are getting more number of falls.
This graph says
Okay,
that
so this graph says that the white women are getting more number of falls when compared to white women. The white men are getting more number of falls. At the same time, the black men are getting more number of falls when compared to black women. So what it says, men are at risk. Okay, so all the ladies, those who are watching the webinar, please take care of your men. Okay,
So what is polypharmacy?
and so what is polypharmacy? As I said earlier, when we receive more number of drugs, polypharmacy. Even two or more drugs are considered as polypharmacy. Don't imagine that when we receive more number of drugs, that time only we will get complications. Even if you are receiving a single drug but more quantity, you may get risk.
So receiving more number of drugs as
As
well as receiving a single drug in
well as receiving a single drug in abnormal quantity also may produce the risk of complications. And the polypharmacy is more common in geriatric population. And there are 40% of risk when you take 5 to 9 medications. Okay, and there are 18% of people getting more number of risk when they take 10 drugs. Okay, so the risk of fall is more common when you receive more number of drugs, when you are adding drug one by one. Okay, so what is polypharmacy? As we know that polypharmacy, so when you are taking more number of drugs, the drug may interact with each other and it may produce drug interactions. Sometimes it may produce beneficial interactions, sometimes it may produce adverse reactions. So a study says that when we receive 3 drugs, there is a chance for 1 potential drug interactions. At the same time, when you receive 8 drugs, there is a possibility for 3 potential drug interactions. These potential drug interactions, and apart from drug interactions, the drug may produce adverse drug reactions. These adverse drug reactions are purely related to the patient's body. It is not related to the drug. Please remember, the adverse drug reactions are purely related to your body. You can give the same drug to any number of people, but the drug will not produce the same side effect or same complication to all the people. But what happens if your body is not accepting the drug? Your body will produce abnormal response, that is hyper response. That hyper response will be noxious or unintended. Okay, so a response by your body to a drug which is noxious and unintended and occurs in doses not given. You are not giving a normal dose, you are giving a normal dose, but even though you are giving a normal dose, your body is not accepting the drug and produces some abnormal response. That response is known as adverse drug reactions. Okay, and we have different types of adverse drug reactions like type A to type U. I'm not going to talk about all the different types of ADR. You can study it later. Okay, so as I said earlier, the drug interaction is nothing but when we are adding more number of drugs. When you are adding 2 or more drugs, the drug may interact with each other. Okay, and at the end it may alter the action of another drug. Maybe it will increase action or decrease action. Not only drug, the drug may interact with the food and food supplements and even another medical conditions. Now we have a new type of drug drugs with the device interactions. The pacemaker, all the stent, everything. So drug device interactions. We remember that. So drug interactions, drug may interact with another drug may interact with the food, drug may interact with the medical conditions, or drug may interact with the medical device. So at the end of the interactions, you may get either decrease in action or increase.
So I will briefly explain this slide. Drug interaction, different types of drug interactions.
Action of
The drug interact with another drug or drug interact with food supplements.
or its effect. Okay, so I will briefly explain the drug may interact with food supplements. So after the nausea and vomiting, here you need to worry. But at the same time, if you have multiple nausea and vomiting and you have severe vomiting episodes, then you have to consult your doctor. So it is considered clinically relevant. And after taking the drug, maybe you will get a benefit and sometimes it may produce adverse effect. And the drug interaction classified into pharmacodynamic or
and excretion of another drug. It is not pharmacokinetic.
kinetic. So one drug may what is that? X-ray is known as pharmacokinetic drug. Sometimes without that may decrease of another drug that is known as pharmacodynamic. The interactions, it may produce a mild complication or moderate complication or severe complications. So based on that severity, we can classify drug interaction into mild, moderate or severe drug interactions. Okay, and when we are taking two or more drugs, sometimes it may produce same type of effect. Okay, so that is known as synergistic interactions, and sometimes it may produce opposite effect. Okay, so whenever
you are studying for the exam, you may take one cup of coffee. So the coffee or tea is having caffeine. So the caffeine is a stimulant.
Whenever you are studying for your exam, you may take coffee or tea with caffeine. So the caffeine is a CNS if you are taking dose to the brain. So that is antagonistic for the synergistic as well as antagonistic interactions. Okay. So coming to the report, the polypharmacy in older adults are more common. A US study says that the senior citizens receiving almost 15 to 18 prescription drugs per day, and they are the victim for polypharmacy. This is American data. Each and every, that is average of senior citizens receiving 15 to 18 drugs per day. Okay. And when we receive more number of drugs, we may get more complications. As I said earlier, none of the drug is safe. All the drugs may produce some type of complications. So when we receive more number of drugs, there is a possibility for more complications. At the same time, if you have more complications, there is no other choice, you have to take more drug. Let us say, for example, we have hypertension, diabetes, atherosclerosis, cholesterol, and you have arthritis. Okay, so it is not possible to cure a single drug, your hypertension, your diabetes, all the complications. So at that time, you are supposed to take different drug for your complications. So the drug as well as the more number of drug, more complication, both are interrelated. You cannot avoid it, but we can minimize the complications. Okay, so when we consult a doctor for even common cold, now we know that we have common, what is a corona? Almost the corona affecting our life for the past 3 months. Right? We are not able to go out, and if you have severe simple cough and cold, we worried about whether it's a corona or not. We don't have a peaceful mind. Even though if I'm coughing, if I'm sneezing, if I have severe fever, then we used to think about only corona. We are not able to think about any other thing, correct? Because our mindset is fully occupied with the coronavirus disease. And when you consult a doctor for simple common cold, remember, you have a simple common cold, just runny nose and fever, cough, and you are consulting a doctor, how many drugs they will write? For your fever, they will write one antipyretic, maybe a paracetamol, and for your cold, runny nose or sneezing, they will write one antibiotic as well as one cetirizine. So 3 drugs. Because you are receiving antibiotics as well as some sleeping dose, so they will give some, what is that, vitamin tablet. So 4 drugs are there. Now, because you are receiving all the drugs, there is a possibility for gastrointestinal disturbance. It may upset your stomach. So they will give one anti-ulcer drug. So there are 5 drugs are mandatorily present in your prescription, even for a simple common cold. There is a proverb in India: if you take any medicine for common cold, you will get recovery within a week. At the same time, if you are not receiving drug, you will get recovery within 7 days. I am repeating again, if you receive medication, you will get complete recovery from the common cold in a week. If you are not receiving medication, you will get recovery within 7 days. So what it says, for the common cold, you don't need to take any medications. Your body will respond to the pathogen. We know that common cold is caused by a virus, but we are not treating this virus infection with antiviral drug. Even antibacterial drug, antimicrobial drug is not at all essential, not at all enough. So our body will respond to the pathogen and it will kill the pathogen within a week. So you don't need to take any drug for common cold. But what we are doing now, we are consulting a doctor and we are receiving more number of medications. Right? So a study says that
you clear one among the three
Among
drugs not essential.
one among the three drugs are not essential for our conditions. Okay. So what happens when we receive more number of drugs? The common side effects of medications are it may impair our general health. It may produce a fatigue or weakness or muscle ache. It may produce lack of appetite, nausea, bloating, cramps or constipation and diarrhea. Apart from that, it may increase the risk of falls and hip fracture, especially in old age people, because it may produce dizziness, postural instability. Let us say, for example, you are sleeping. You are sleeping for almost 10 hours. Okay. All of a sudden, you woke up and you are changing your position. You are planning to stand up. So what will happen? You may get dizziness. You cannot stand because your body is practiced stable for the resting position, the lying position. When you are changing your position suddenly, you may get the dizziness or confusion. Your brain.
Accommodate. At the time, you may get the risk of falls. So like here, the drugs also get us
Not accommodate, you may get the risk of falls. So, like here, the drugs also can cause
Okay. And apart from that, the drug may cause
postural impairment. What may cause impairment of cognitive function. It may produce confusion, sedation, headache, insomnia, restlessness, agitation, and delirium. So these are some of the problems. It may impair your cognitive function, and at the end, we may get falls. Okay. So these are the common side effects produced by the drug. Okay. So apart from that, when we receive more number of medication, what are the consequences, negative consequences we will get? Instead of taking one drug, if you receive 10 drugs, automatically you have to pay more money. Right? It will be more. The pill burden will be more. Apart from that, when we receive more number of drugs, there is a possibility for drug interactions. Correct. And there is a possibility for adverse drug events. And if I am asking you to take only one medication for 1 year, you will be happy, you will take the medications. Correct. Every day you will take a medication. At the same time, instead of one medication, if I am asking you to take 10 medications, how many days you will take? To be frank, maybe you will take all the 10 medication for 10 days or 20 days or maximum 1 month. After that you will feel, no need to take this 10 medication because the medication not producing enough effect to my body, so you will reduce the number of medications. Maybe you will inform to your family members. Sometimes you will not inform your family members, you will skip the medications. Correct. So, when you are increasing the number of medications, you cannot expect the compliance. Correct. You cannot expect the follow-up. And also it may produce dysphagia and misadventures and functional impairment. When you take more number of drugs, there is a possibility for your gait impairment, functional impairment, physical impairment. Then, in case of geriatric people, it may produce geriatric syndromes. So what are the geriatric syndromes? It may produce falls. Because it may produce confusion, delirium, all the CNS related complications, and it may create falls. And it may produce cognitive impairment, urinary incontinence. So most of the time, the patients are getting falls, falling down over the floor whenever they are waking up from the bed, because they are urging towards the toilet. At that time, they are getting falls, they are falling down. So urinary incontinence and impairment of nutrition as well as dehydration and constipation. So all are the negative consequences of polypharmacy. Okay. So let us say, so what happened when you receive more number of drugs? Apart from all the complications, the patient may lose their independence. If I am asking you to take 10 medications, what will happen? You will take, because we are normal people, we are adult people, we have enough capacity to think. But if you are asking your old age people to take 10 medications, they cannot remember. So they need some assistance. They will lose their independence, and it may increase healthcare utilization. And whenever they are consuming more number of drugs, there is a possibility for complication, and there is a possibility for increase of hospital admissions. So emergency room care, hospitalization, institutionalization. When you are taking more number of drugs, there is a possibility for death. It may impair all the systems. So it will damage the system slowly, progressively. It will damage, and at the end, the system. So finally, death. Okay. So what is false? Now you are planning. You are standing for a long period of time, or you are walking from one area to another area, and you are planning to sit over the chair. So comfortably you can sit. because you have enough amount of the stability. If you lost your stability and suddenly you fell down over the floor, so that is known as falls. Inadvertently coming to rest on the ground or floor or other lower level, excluding intentional change. So instead of planning, you are planning to sit, but actually you sleep and you fell down over the floor. That is considered as falls. Okay, so how the medicine can cause falls? We know that the medicine can cause falls, but how it can cause falls? It may produce sedation, it may impair the postural stability, it may produce hypotension, it can induce Parkinsonism, it may produce rigidity, tremor. This rigidity, tremor are more common in Parkinsonism, so patients who receive the medication may get Parkinsonism-like symptoms. And visual impairment, hypoglycemia. Okay, that's why we have to take always, for the diabetes patient we are used to say, keep one chocolate or candy in your pocket every time. If you receive any anti-diabetic medication, always keep, along with the medicine, keep one chocolate. One is medicine, another one is poison. Whenever the medicine is working as a poison, use this chocolate as a medicine. Correct. And vestibular damage, hypothermia, confusion, dehydration. So by creating all these problems, you can get falls. Okay, so what are the medical conditions associated with the falls? If any of your family members or your neighbor or your relatives have any of these complications, you have to be very, very careful. Some neurological disorder like stroke, Parkinsonism, gait disorders, vestibular disorders, dementia can cause falls. Some musculoskeletal disorders can cause falls. Some sensory abnormalities can cause falls. Cardiovascular disorders like orthostatic hypotension, senior arterial dysfunction, arrhythmia, syncope, they can cause falls. Some chronic medical conditions cause anemia can cause falls. Lung disease can cause falls. Sleep disorders can cause falls. Then some medication also can cause falls. Miscellaneous conditions like alcohol use, recent hospitalization. So all these problems can cause falls. If any of your family members or relatives or your friends are having this problem or any of these medical conditions, you have to inform them you are at risk of falls. Okay, and there are some medications may cause falls. So example, benzodiazepines like chlordiazepoxide, alprazolam, diazepam can cause falls. Antidepressant medications, antipsychotic medications.
Anti-epileptic, given for epilepsy can cause falls.
Okay.
Anticholinergics, sedative hypnotic drugs,
Hypnotic drugs, muscle relaxants can cause falls. Cardiovascular medications can cause falls. So hereafter, if any of your family members or relatives have these kind of medical conditions, you have to alert them you are at risk of falls. And if they receive any of this medication, what we presented in the right side, if any of your relatives or friends or any members receiving these medications, you have to alert them you are receiving false risk medication. You have to be very careful. Okay, always you have to be very careful because anytime you may get the risk of falls. Okay, so some medications given for the treatment of Parkinson's disease, schizophrenia, cramps, painkillers, antihistamines, epilepsy, drug given for mood depression and heart problem and swelling. So all these can cause falls. Apart from this prescription medications, some OTC medications. What it means by OTC? Over the counter. So these medication, over the counter medication, you can get from the pharmacy without any prescription. Not only prescription medication, even the OTC medication also can cause falls. Whenever you have fever or common cold, you are rushing towards a community pharmacy. I'm sure that most are not aware of the falls. They know this medication can be given for this particular conditions, but they don't know the risk of falls. Example, painkiller, the Brufen and naproxen, and cold and flu medications, allergic tablet like chlorpheniramine, the Avil tablet, you know, that one. Then heartburn tablet like ranitidine, cimetidine, famotidine, then sleeping tablets. All these things can cause falls, but none of the pharmacists know about that this drug can cause falls. The problem is not with the pharmacist. The problem is with the system. We are always teaching our pharmacists, our healthcare people, what are the medicines and what are the side effects. And we are not teaching them what are the medicine can cause false or false related complications.
Prevention is better than cure. Before, once the patient is laid down over the floor and you are giving treatment, it's not at all good. You have to prevent the falls. Okay, before getting injury, you have to stop.
Prevention is better than cure.
How serious is the problem of falls? Let us say, for example, you slip down over the floor. On the floor, you slip down. Which part will touch the floor? Which part of your body will touch the floor first? First, the lower limb. Right? The lower limb will touch the floor first. Then followed by upper limbs. And if you are not able to balance your body with the lower limb and upper limb, then your head will touch
So the patient is fell down over the floor and you are giving treatment. It's not at all good.
Most of the time we will get lower limb injuries followed by
Okay,
upper
before
limb
getting
injury, and we are not able to stop it by using our
floor first, then followed by upper limbs.
At the same time, you are not able to control with these three, then your body, entire body, thorax, abdomen, and back, and spine, pelvis will go down.
And if you are not able to balance your body with the lower limb and upper limb,
The force of falling down.
then
Besides the severity of injury. Okay. So what are the consequences of falls in the
head
elderly people? As I said
touch
earlier, depends on the force. Okay. Sometimes it may create lethality, the patient will die.
Like-
Otherwise, it will lose fractures.
okay,
Tissue
they
head
injuries, joint distortion or dislocations. So this is more common, dislocations and loss of confidence. Once the patient fell down, always they have fear in the mind. They don't know when they are going to fall next. So the loss of confidence or the fear will create lot of problems. The self-confidence will be lost. And restrict activity. Once they lost the confidence, they will restrict from each and every activity. They will not do. They will ask us to do each and every activity. At that time, they will lose their independency, and we have to assist them for each and every activity. So a study in US says that the estimated fall-related injury cost about 20.2 billion each and every year. 20.2 billion. So this data taken from 1994. You see, almost 30 years. 28 years, right? So you see, now the projected rate will be more than 200
So where the people
billion.
are getting falls? Most of the time the people are getting falls for home because home is not safe for elderly people. To be frank, how many of you placing your chairs in the walkway? How many of you kept your table in the walkway? The walking area? How many of you keeping the chappals or your sandals or your shoes anywhere
So
near your door or walkway?
where the people are getting falls? Most of the people are getting falls at home
These small
because home is not safe for the elderly people. To be frank, as we are making home unsafe for the geriatric population. So 60% of people are getting falls at, and next to that the public places. We don't have much provisions for the geriatric population at the public place, so they are getting more number of falls at public place. And next to that, nursing home. Most of the time in the nursing home or at hospitals, the patients are getting falls at near the bedside area. But now they are getting up from the bed, they are getting falls because posture instability. Okay, so the study says home is not safe for geriatric population.
What are the risk factors associated with the falls? There are two types of risk factors. One is intrinsic
Okay.
and
What are
extrinsic. Intrinsic means we cannot modify. Some of the things we can modify.
risk factors associated with the falls? There are two types of risk
Age we cannot modify. Sex we cannot modify.
factors. One is intrinsic, another one is extrinsic.
Impairment.
Intrinsic means we cannot modify or somehow modify, but it's purely personal.
Great performance. Low body weight. So this is the sum of
Personal factor like age, cannot modify, sex modify, and low mobility of fragility, of functional impairment. activity, low weight. So these are the questions related to falls. Cognitive impairment. Improve your cognitive impairment in old age people.
Stroke, hypertension.
It's very risky. Okay, and chronic illness like Parkinson's disease, visual difficulties, stroke, hypertension, and psychological medical antidepressant. That is a wet floor or cluttered floor, loose rugs, poor lighting on stairs and hallways, then hallways, lack of bathroom safety. Okay. In India, most of the time we are using Indian toilet. You know, we are not using Western toilet. We are using Indian toilet systems. But even though it is very near to the floor, it is almost very close to the floor. You have any bar, the handle bar for the elderly people? No, we are not fixing any handle bar to hold the bar to make a grip. We are not fixing it. So this is one of the problem for the factor which contribute falls. Another one is footwear. Busy streets, elevated walkways. So these are the some of the extensive risk factors which create falls. Okay, how to prevent or minimize falls? First one is personal prevention. So we have to make our home very safe for the elderly people. Reduce all the hazards. If you are placing your chairs near the walkway, you have to remove the chairs. If there is anything disturbing the the walking way, you have to remove it. Make the place more safe. And do some balance exercise. Give them some balance exercise. This will protect their hip. And always practice a healthy lifestyle. So these are some of the personal prevention we can give to the geriatric people to avoid falls. Apart from that, some assistant devices, hip pad we can provide, mobility aids like can, walkers, wheelchairs. Okay, so this will help them to prevent falls. Apart from that, bathroom aids like raised toilet seats. So here you can see the picture above. The picture shows some rubber, right? So this is toilet seats, raised toilet seat. Even though we are using Western toilet, this is not suitable for the elderly people. They cannot bend their elbow joints. They cannot bend their knee joints. So joint deformities will be there. They cannot bend. Adduction will not be there. So it's a mobility impairment. So at that time we have to provide this type of equipment to reduce the mobility. And we can use this type of bath benches whenever they go for shower. This will avoid the risk of falls. And intervention programs like we can give some exercise, physical therapy to increase or gain the muscle strength. We are doing a research with the help of some friends. I am doing a research in muscle strength, how to improve the muscle strength by using physical therapy or physiotherapy, and how to improve their gait as well as the balance. Assessment of home fall hazards. You have to assess. Hereafter, today, you are listening this talk, right? So after that, you take a paper and write what are the material or what are the items are not safe for the geriatric population. How these items or what is the movement of the geriatric population. You list down all the points and remove all the hazards. And evaluation of medical conditions. After this talk, go and check your grandparents or your parents' medical sheet or prescription. What are the medical conditions they have? How many medicines they are receiving? Whether they are receiving adequate nutrition or not. And make a support group. Whenever you go out, you inform your neighbors. My grandparents are there. My parents are there. Please take care of them. They have the mobility issue. You have to alert them. So make a support group. So this will help the patient to prevent falls. And at nursing home we can give some intervention like a physical rehabilitation program. We can give some physical therapy or exercises so they can get recovery from that. And staff education, how to handle the patient. Environmental hazards assessment and modifications we can do. Reduce the medications whenever possible and reduce the physical what is that? Restraints. So all these things we can do for the healthcare people, for the geriatric people. Okay, and the next one is medication review. So what is medication review? A periodical review of the prescription medications. This medication review you can do anytime. Maybe the medication review, that is reviewing the prescription medications, anytime you can do. At hospital, you can review the medications any time, maybe morning, evening, afternoon, or you can do every time. But at outpatient clinic, whenever the patient comes to your pharmacy, whenever the patient comes for reappointment, at that time you can review the medication. If the medication is appropriate, if the medication is working for the patient, you can continue it. Or if the medication is not appropriate, if the medication is not producing enough effect, you have to remove the medication from the prescription. So that is tighter the dose, tighter the medication according to the patient's need. Okay, so this will help the patients to get complete recovery from the conditions. Okay, now example, I will give you example. There are two groups of healthcare professionals in the healthcare team, where doctor, pharmacist, nurse, and so many people are there. So there are two group of healthcare professionals are there, and you are sending a patient with the same symptom. So here patient A and patient B, both the patients are exactly similar, having same type of complications. So you are sending this patient A to one group of doctors and patient B to another group of doctors. So they will assess their conditions and they will write the prescription. Can you expect both these group of healthcare professionals, they will write same prescription, same medications? No, because their perception is different. So this group of doctors will write some different medication for this patient, and this group of doctor will write some different group of medication for this patient. Even though the patient condition is same, exactly same, they will write different medications because their perception is different. Okay, another example. We are receiving a prescription with some drugs, maybe 5 or 6 drugs or 10 drugs, and you are giving this same prescription. Take a xeroscopy of the prescription, give to this prescription to one group of doctors and give this prescription to another group of doctors or healthcare professionals. So what they will say, this group of healthcare professionals, they say these medicines are given according to the patient's conditions, according to the patient's need. But this group of doctors or the healthcare professionals, they may say, no, the medicine is not appropriate, these medicines are not titrated according to the patient need, you have to remove the medications, you have to titrate the medication, you have to adjust the dose, you have to modify the drug. So even though the prescription is same, the opinion from two different group of people is different. So how can we treat the conditions? That's why you have to go for medication review. Okay, so how to do that? First you have to check whether the medicine is right for the patient or not. If there are 7 steps to avoid the polypharmacy. First you have to check whether the medicine is right for the patient or not. Then if the medicine is not right, if it is unnecessary, you have to cut the medications. After that you have to check whether the medicine is effective or not, whether the medicine is producing the required benefit to the patient or not. Then you have to check, is there any harmful effect produced by the drug? After receiving the drug, whether the patient received any harmful side effects. If it is so, you have to remove the drug from the treatment. Then apart from that, you have to check whether the medicine is cost effective. Whether you are writing so many medications, whether it is cost effective for the particular patient. Okay, if all the doctor and 7 steps we must follow, but what we are doing actually in the day-to-day practice, are we getting enough help from the healthcare professionals? Are you consulting your nursing staff? Are you consulting your doctor? Are you consulting the patient? Even there is a patient autonomy. You cannot simply throw the medicine to the patient. The medicine you cannot throw. You have to ask the patient, I am going to write this medication for you. Is it okay for you? Get the patient consent. But what we are doing now, we are not doing it. But in developed countries, they are doing that because you have to give respect for the patient autonomy. Okay. Then the Royal Pharmaceutical Society prepared a guidelines on polypharmacy by the year 2018. This guidelines or guidance will give good solution for avoiding the polypharmacy. How can we titrate the dose? How can we fix the drug for the patient's health improvement?
So we are mostly we are using this type of guidelines or guidance for reducing the polypharmacy.
Okay, so we are using this type of guidelines or guidance for reducing the polypharmacy. Apart from this, Royal Pharmaceuticals or safety guidelines,
So for that we are using
we are using some other tools to identify potential inappropriate medicines.
You can surely avoid
So,
inappropriate medication. Next one is obvious criteria. This is the
drugs will be there in the prescription. So you have to check the drugs are to avoid the polypharmacy. This criteria, you can check potentially inappropriate medications for older adults.
typically should be avoided. What are the medicines should be avoided? What are the so that you can check and how to use the medication very consciously. That you can perform. Is there any drug-drug interactions in the prescription? That you can check.
And typically should be avoided. What are the medicines should be avoided? What check that you can perform. Is there any drug-drug interactions in the prescription? Okay. You can check and adjust the dose. So all these are reducing the BS criteria. Okay. Stop file criteria.
If there is any inappropriate drug, you can avoid it.
This criteria is having 26. By using these 27 indicators, you can check is there any potentially inappropriate prescription drug. This is inappropriate. Okay. So next one, prescribe when we are giving that we are patient. Okay. This another, but all these medicines are enough for the patient. Is it suitable for the patient? Whether it's appropriate for the patient? We are taking one drug and say we are consulting a doctor for some medication and taking the times and you are not getting complete recovery, or you are not getting or informing your doctor. I took this medicine 2-3 times, but I didn't see any response. Are you informing your doctor? No. And I have to go and consult your doctor. If the drug is working in your body or not. So if you are informing the doctor, I'm taking this medicine, I took this medicine 2-3 times, but I didn't see any improvement. Now the doctor will check again your all the medical conditions. Okay, this drug is not appropriate for your conditions, so they will remove the drug. That is known as de-prescribing, removing the drug from the prescription. But what we are normally doing, we are not informing the doctor, we are not assessing them again, and the patient continuously taking this medication for a long period of time without any improvement or without any side effects. So without any improvement or benefits. So de-prescribing is very, very essential to avoid the polypharmacy, to avoid complications, and it is very, very essential to reduce the healthcare budget. Okay. So whenever we see a prescription, and if you see the particular drug is not suitable, if you think the particular drug is inappropriate or the particular drug is enough, no need to continue, just remove the drug from the prescription, and if you want, add another drug, otherwise leave it. So de-prescribing is very, very important. We are not practicing the de-prescribing. We have to concentrate on that. Okay. So what are the tips for safe medication use? Keep a list of medications. Whether you are using prescription medications or you are buying from pharmacy or you are taking vitamin tablet or herbal supplements, whatever you are taking, write in a paper. Maybe for the prescription you may have the doctor's handwritten prescription, but for the OTC medication what you are taking from the pharmacy, you are not maintaining anything. So write, get your prescription, get your receipt or the receipt or the bill from the pharmacy attached with your prescription. So keep a list of medication all the time. When you consult a doctor, you have to inform them, currently I am taking these medications. So now the doctor will check, okay, currently you are taking these medications, can I give the next medication or not? Is there any potential complications if I am giving this one? So the doctor will check. If you are not informing your doctor, whatever you are receiving, what will happen? The doctor may think that you are not taking any medication, so they will write some drug. So along with the doctor prescription, you are taking some other new drug from the pharmacy, and it may end up in complications. So hereafter, whenever you see a doctor, you must inform, I am currently taking these medications. If you are not able to say what are the name, just bring the prescription or bring the tablet foil, the paper or the package. Okay, and keep all medicines at the same place, because all are geriatric people. They have loss of concentration, the memory loss, Alzheimer's disease, dementia. So you cannot expect the concentration if you are changing, or always if you are changing the place of medicines from one place to another place, they cannot remember. So whenever you are giving medicine for the geriatric population, geriatric people, inform them, I am keeping this medicine here. Okay, always store the medicine in the same place, then they can easily remember. And if you have any questions about your medications, ask doctor or ask the pharmacist. We are here to educate you. We are here to give the appropriate information. Ask, but there is a way how to ask, when to ask. Okay, so whenever the doctor is free, whenever the pharmacist is free, you can ask them. Okay, doctor, I have some questions. Can I get few minutes from you? Can you spend few minutes because I have some query? Now the doctors are very, very helpful. Okay, so we can get advice from the doctor about your medications, and always use only one chemist, one pharmacy. Let us say, for example, you are taking some antihypertensive medication, a BP medication, and the first month you are buying the same medication in one pharmacy, and another time you are buying in another pharmacy, and the next month you are buying in another pharmacy. So what happened? You are receiving this medicine for long period of time, and you are not buying from single pharmacy. And if you are going to buy in different pharmacy, you cannot expect the first pharmacy will have the stock. Correct? If you are buying the medicine from the same pharmacy, they know that you are the patient and you are buying this product. So they will always remember that you have to keep the stock. Whenever you don't have the medicine at home, you can easily go to the pharmacy, particular pharmacy, you can buy it. If you always keep on changing your pharmacy, they cannot store it because they don't know whether you will come or not. And always use the same brand. You may have some doubt, why can't I change from one brand to another brand? Even though the medicine is same, the generic drug is same. Yes, almost, of course, the generic formulation, the chemical molecule is same, but the bioavailability, the time to reach your system is circulation, the time to reach the produce the effect in your body, that will be different. Each and every formulation, each and every brand have different bioavailability. Simply you cannot change your medicines for your namesake. Right? If you want to change the medicine, consult your doctor first. Doctor, this medicine is very expensive. Can I go to this medicine, this brand? Now the doctor will check whether both are having same bioavailability. Now the doctor will change. Simply you cannot change. Simply your community pharmacist, they cannot change. They don't know what is bioavailability. They don't know when the medicine will deliver. Correct? So this will create complication. You are receiving a drug for heart failure, and the drug is supposed to deliver the effect within 20 minutes or 30 minutes. But you are changing one brand to another brand, the second brand delivering the effect in 1 hour, after 1 hour. What will happen? The effect will not be there in your body, and finally you will get cardiac arrest. Correct? I am giving some example. So don't change your brand, the brand of your medicines, without consent from your doctor. Okay, and take your medicines according to the direction. If the doctor is asking you to take the medications before food, means take before food, and if it should be taken after food, means take after food. If the medicine should be taken at night, means you have to take at night. If you are changing this pattern, right, again it will collapse. The sleeping tablet should be taken at night. If you are taking in the morning, you will be in sleepy mood. You cannot do any work. You cannot drive. And the drug given for your BP, diuretics tablets, to increase your urine output, that drug should be taken in the morning. The diuretic tablet should be taken in the morning. Even though it is a BP tablet, If you are taking this BP tablet at night, you cannot sleep, because this diuretic tablet increase your urine output at night. You cannot get sleep. You have to go for frequent toilet. You cannot get proper sleep. But as what you will think, this is a diuretic tablet, this is what is an antihypertensive tablet. Why can't you take a BP tablet in the morning or at night? Anytime I can take BP tablet, right? Yes, your logic is correct. BP tablet you can take anytime, but the problem is this tablet should be taken in the morning. If you are taking at night, you will get more urination. So take medicines according to your conditions, according to the directions given by the doctor, and talk to your pharmacist or your doctor whenever you have any problems. Okay, always seek their help. If there is any unusual change in your health after taking the particular medicine, let us say you are admitted for the treatment for corona. Example, I am giving some example. You are admitted for the treatment of corona. After taking a single tablet, it cured everything. Your fever gone, your respiratory symptoms gone, your coughing gone, everything is treated in a single tablet. It means unusual. You can't treat any disease in a single tablet unless a poison. Poison will kill the body. If you receive any prompt, immediate, complete cure, then it means the drug is very, very dangerous for your body. So you have to inform your doctor if it is any unusual change. But after taking the medicines, if you experience any symptoms, you have to inform the doctor. And throw away medicines that are out of date. You may think, I bought these medications last month. Can you take it today? No. You have to check the expiry date. The content will be changed. The content will be converted into poison. So always check the expiry date. If it is expired, throw the medicines. And another thing, last month I had cold and fever. Doctor given some antibiotic. This month, today, I had the same symptoms, cough and cold. Can I take the same antibiotic? No. Can I take the same medicine? No. Last time, for your cough and cold, the organism will be different. For this time, even though you have the same symptoms, you cannot take the same drug, because it may produce resistance. And normally we used to say sharing is caring. Correct? Suppose you are one of your child, you have 2 kids in your family, one of your child missed or lost the eraser. You can ask your another child, can you give the eraser to share the eraser with your brother or your sister. So the boy or girl can share. Suppose the boy lost book. Your elder son is studying 9th standard and the younger son is studying 8th standard. So you can share the book, but you can't share the medicine. The thing is, even though both are same, but the body is different. Even though both had same type of symptoms, the mechanism is different. The pharmacokinetic parameters are different. The gene is different. The response to the medicine is different. So what will happen? I given this medicine to my younger son, he recovered good. Why can't I give this medicine to my elder son? No, both are different. Even though both are your son, the entire mechanism is different, body is different. So we cannot share our medicine. Sharing is caring, but medicine sharing is not caring. You will kill the people. You should not share the medicines with any of your family members or friends. Okay, so the main aim of reducing the polypharmacy is promoting medication adherence. As I said earlier, if I am asking you to take one medicine, you will be happy and you will take the medicines even for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. If I am asking you to take 10 medicines, you may take only for 10 days or 20 days or maybe a month. After that, you will skip the medicines. At last, you may take 1 or 2 tablets. So, reducing polypharmacy is to promote the medication adherence or compliance. So, always have to practice. And this is another WHO report on medication safety in polypharmacy. How to avoid the polypharmacy. So, already we discussed in a few slides. Okay. And in case of fall prevention, if any of the family members having geriatric population or old age people, first create awareness. Inform them you have these complications. These complications will produce falls. You are receiving these medicines. These medicine can cause falls. How can we check? There are a lot of books are available, so you can check whether this medicine may cause faults or not. Maybe you can use these slides. I given some drugs name, right? So you can check whether these drugs are coming under this category or not. So you have to create awareness, inform them well in advance. Then you may produce assessment, check whether this medicine is having any false risk or not, this medical condition is having any false risk or not, whether is there any clutter, is there any problem, what is it, the home hazards that may cause falls. So always do an assessment, then finally give intervention. You can motivate them, you can inform them. If you feel dizzy, if you have any confusion, if you have any delirium like symptoms, inform us before. If you have any confusion or what is that, giddiness, you have to inform them after you are waking up from the bed. If you have giddiness, don't stand, sit for a while before going to the toilet. So you can create simple awareness. This intervention will help them a lot to prevent the falls. Okay, and coming to the last slides of my talk, the summary. Fall prevention is one of the big aim or major aim for bringing better health outcomes in old age people. And as we know that polypharmacy is a risk factor for falls. So how to avoid this polypharmacy? You have to go for medication review. So the periodical medication review can reduce or minimize the risk of falls. The calcium problem in the bone. So if the patient is having osteoporosis, they are supposed to give some preventive medications to prevent the falls. And always encourage your patient, your family members or the geriatric population to use the medicine safely. Okay, and if they feel any discomfort, you have to inform them. What is that? If you feel any symptoms or discomfort, inform us and take the patients to the doctor and seek medical attention. Always remember, patient safety is first. Patient is not a patient, patient is one of our family member. Okay, so we are in the healthcare sector, and don't treat patient as a patient. Patient is a human being. He is one of our family member. He is one of our healthcare professionals. Without patient, we can't survive. Right? Patients are our customer. So we have to treat our patients safely and politely with sympathy and empathy. Okay. So thank you. At last, the love is important. Either love from the parents or love from the kids or love from the spouse. Love will lead the world. Love will solve all the issues. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Panichami sir, Professor Panichami sir.
Yeah,
thank you, sir. Sir, this is Dr. Venkatesh, sir.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Sir, nice for your presentation went on well, sir.
Thank you, sir.
On behalf of our management, I hereby express my wholehearted thanks to you and your management for giving such a informative and wonderful presentation, sir.
Thank you.
So, some series of intelligence about our students in polypharmacy.
Okay.
I hope this interaction will motivate the students and encourage them in active learning, sir. Sir, in this occasion, we are expecting your cooperation and support towards the betterment and development of our students' career, sir.
Sure.
Let's have a good collaboration in future also, sir.
Thank you,
sir. Very kind of you, sir.
Dear audience, if you have any, please unmute all the mic. So
yes.
If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Dear audience, if you have any doubt, you can ask me.
Hello, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning,
Hello,
sir.
sir.
Yeah.
This is sir from Legacy.
Sorry, sir.
Sir, is there any similarity between poly pills and polypharmacy?
Actually, we are not using the word pills. Pills is nothing but medicine. So pills, pharmacy, both are same. But actually, the normal medical term is polypharmacy. It's a polypill. Polypill is different. The pill may be a Ayurvedic product or maybe a Unani product, or if you are combining some Ayurvedic products with allopathy medicines, the English medicines, right? So it's a polypills. And polypills may be more number of pills. The same medicine, instead of taking one tablet, if you are taking 2 tablets, it's a polypills.
Sir, actually, I have read about only journal, sir. In the journal, they have mentioned polypills is a combined drug, sir. Actually, they have incorporated 4 categories of drugs in a particular one capsule. Actually, the polypill is a polycapsule which contains more than 3. Right? It contains 4 ingredients in a particular one capsule. So that cases also it will produce side effects like polypharmacy.
The polypills, actually, the word is not approved by WHO because we are not using the word polypills, because different researchers, they are using different words. Even they are using they are using the word for combined pills or multiples. Even multiple, but even they are using multipills. But the word is not approved by WHO. So normally they are using polypharmacy for this. Yeah.
So thank you for your wonderful presentation. Sir, thank you for your wonderful presentation. Sir, geriatric care is very new to our country. Like you have mentioned, a lot of statistics and details from developed countries. Geriatric care is very new to our country, and if you see the reality over here, so that old age people are going to different physicians.
Yeah.
And like India, we are not having any health card systems. So wherever they are going and they are taking a different type of medicine, different brands of medicine, not different type of medicine, different brands of medicine. But yes, same like Rabiprazole, Dr. A may be prescribed and Dr. B also prescribed. So how to overcome this kind of problem in a country like ours?
Yeah, correct. It's a good question. Actually, the geriatric home, the old age home, is newer to India. Previously, we had a joint family culture. Our culture is joint family culture. But now the joint family culture is moving towards the satellite. We used to say, what is that? We don't have this joint family culture, and we are moving towards a satellite family. You know what is satellite family? Satellite means only 1 + 1 + 1. 1 parents, 1 kid. Okay, so this is now we have the problem. What will happen in future? We may have lot of old age home in our country. Now they started. We can see more number of old age home in our country. So what will happen in future? We may have no more number of old age people, and the child will send the patient to the parents to the old age home. So in future, we may have more number of old age home as well as more number of geriatric population at the old age home. And here, whenever you receive any medications, you have to inform them. Whenever you receive any medications, you have to inform your doctor, I am receiving these medications before consulting a doctor. Before they are making a prescription for you, you have to inform them. If you are not informing, then it is a problem for the polypharmacy, the drug-related complications. As you said, the brand A and brand B. Okay, so that's what I am telling. If you receive any medications, brand A has some bioavailability, brand B is having some bioavailability. Okay, so you have to inform the doctor, I am receiving this anti-ulcer medications for almost 10 days for my ulcer. So now the doctor may check, okay, this medicine you are receiving for 10 days, whether it is okay for you. Why you are not receiving the particular benefit from the anti-ulcer? So now they will change the drug to some other brand or some other, some other class of drug.
Okay, sir. Sir, and I saw one interesting statistics in your presentation. You have shared about number of geriatric population in India, and there are around 5 to 6 dominant states in geriatric population. If you see the current pandemic situation, there is a correlation between corona cases and geriatric population. Can you able to relate those things, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, correct. Actually, now you can see most of the corona victims, the mortality, the death people are old age people, and also people with comorbid conditions. Those who are having heart disease, diabetes, those who have renal function, they are the victim for the coronavirus because they have lack of immunity. The system is not working properly. They are not able to produce enough amount of immunity to fight against the corona. Okay, and when compared to the old age people, the adult death is very less. The child death is very less. Okay, so how can we correlate? Maybe by the year 2025 or by the year 2050, you can say by the year 2050, if you are turning your head left, right or straight, you can see at least one geriatric population, geriatric people. One among the three will be the geriatric patient. Suppose by 2050, if we have corona disease, what will happen? Almost 25% of the geriatric people will die.
Okay.
So luckily, we have less number of geriatric population now. If the same pandemic situation happens by the year 2050, one among the four people will die. So you cannot imagine the loss. How the Italy, how the European country suffering, the same suffering we will face if it is happening in 2050.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello.
Sir, yes.
Sir, actually I had a question regarding the alprazolam and diazepam tablets.
Okay.
Say, for example, I take long back, not recent back. I taken as per the prescription of the doctors.
Okay.
But my age is 40, around 44.
Okay.
Is there a risk of falling, or is these tablets? I am not continuing. Only at certain points I have taken. Is there a risk of falling afterwards also, or while taking those medicine at that time only people will fall?
Okay. So we are taking
Okay, sir. Different times.
different times.
Sometimes
Okay.
nights.
Sometimes.
Night.
Okay. So you are taking always
Yes,
at night.
not continuous.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are taking the benzodiazepines, alprazolam or diazepam at night, right? So and you are not taking regularly. You are taking only alternative days or some other days, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, there is a risk of falls are there, but we are taking this tablet at night time, so the risk of falls is very less.
Okay.
Because after taking the tablet, you are going to take your bed and you are sleeping, right? So there is the risk of falls.
Yes.
The risk of falls is there, but it is very less.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. But it is all these risks are only while we are taking those medicines, not afterwards. Is there a risk?
No, when you are taking
not
the medicine,
afterwards.
not afterwards. When you are taking the medicine, if you have the medicine
Okay, sir,
concentration in
thank
your body, at the time only it will produce the complications. After that, it will not produce anything.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So, any other questions? Feel free to ask me any questions.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Solomon. Yeah.
Sir, I am B from final year student, sir.
Yeah. Good.
Sir, I have an query. Is any risk about clopidogrel drug is combined along with a metformin tablet?
Okay. Actually, the best thing is if you are taking metformin, right? It may produce GI disturbance. The metformin, all the biguanates, it may produce GI disturbance. Okay.
Yeah.
But it will not disturb your blood system, the coagulation cascade. The metformin will not disturb your coagulation cascade. But at the same time, if you are taking clopidogrel, right? Clopidogrel will disturb your coagulation cascade. It is an antiplatelet aggregating agent. But actually, what will happen? These two drugs will disturb your GI system.
So you may experience some kind of diarrhea, nausea and vomiting. Diarrhea will be there. When you are taking metformin, you may get diarrhea. But apart from that, it cannot produce any other much complications. And if you want the latest information, right, you can check by using drugs.com website. The drugs.com website, they are uploading all the the drug related complications. You can check it. But mostly both are different class of drugs. One is antiplatelet aggregating agent, another one is anti-diabetic drug. So the complication is very less. But at the same time, if you have diabetic neuropathy or diabetic nephropathy, okay, and you have bleeding tendency, at that time if you are taking clopidogrel, the clopidogrel may cause bleeding. So bruising will be there. If you don't have any diabetic complications like microvascular complication or microvascular complications, then you no need to worry about taking clopidogrel.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hello sir, in chat box I have seen one question. One student asked, why male are having high risk of falling than women? Like that, I think one question was.
Yeah,
one student
actually,
asked.
yeah. So what it says that there are two different contraindicated states. Mostly female are having more body weight than. So the data says they collectively taken the data from Western countries as well as Asian countries. Okay, so mostly the female, their mobility will be very slow. If you are asking your spouse, if you are asking your wife to take something right, they will take some time to respond. The fast action will be very slow. That is one point. Another thing, the body weight is more in women when compared to men. So the stability, because of the body weight, they can't go very fast. So they will take some time. But if you see that because of the body weight, they are taking some time. Because of the body weight, they will take some time to respond. Okay, because of the body weight, they will take some time to respond, and that taking time to respond, that time will be placed by the brain for accommodation. So now they can make you stable. But the men, mostly when compared to women, men are having less body weight. If you are asking some people to take weight, most of average men, if you are asking them to do work, they will say very fast. They will respond very fast. Accommodation will not be there. Brain accommodation will not be there. Wait. So, any other query? There are some exceptions. We cannot say the risk is more common only in men. Okay. This depends on the body weight, but they took the average data. The average data says that it is more common in men, whether it is white men or black men. So the risk is more common in men when compared to women because of the response rate. Your query?
Sir, thank you, sir. Thanks for your informative discussion, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, audience. Do you have any questions?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take care, sir.
I think there is no
So,
other.
can I take the call?
I will get back to you hereafter.
Please,
Okay.
please.
So, we cut the call now.
Anybody else?
Let me
there is a message in the chat box.
Yeah. No, sir. Sir, yeah, no, there is no other question. I think so, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. I will cut the call now.
Yes,
It's
sir.
okay,
please,
right?
sir. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir. Please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir.